creating conversation.
Right.
Which, wait a sec, this is what this whole thing was all about.
I'm seeing a theme here. Good evening. You're listening to A Christian and an Atheist Walk into a Bar. This is Jay Stooksbury, and with me as always, Ty Gallenbeck. And it's been a minute since we've done this, huh?
It's been way too long,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
As you can tell by the lack of creative intro, we're back, but we're trying to figure out. I'm surprised Jay could actually get the title right at this point. It's been that long, so
yeah. I think we're both kind of running on fumes anyway, too, for these last month or so.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it's good though. It's good to be back in the studio.
It is. It's fun. I had more people like, "Hey, have you guys recorded yet?"
Mm-hmm.
Which makes you go, "Okay, like we actually need to do this again."
Right.
It wasn't just like fell off and people forgot about us or anything.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That was cool. So
yeah.
So we're gonna start with you
okay.
because your last month has been way more interesting than mine has. So you just got done running for a city council position in our small town. To say it was one of the more lively campaigns that I have seen in my 30 years living here would probably be an understatement.
Yeah.
Which I think speaks well for what you accomplished. But
thank you.
Give people a little update, kind of,
sure.
Some highlights, lowlights, whatever you want to give.
I'll try to focus on the highlights because I don't want to say anything too bad, and at least not until I finish my whiskey first. But yeah, I made the fool's errand of throwing my hat in the ring for running for city council. For those of you that know me and have also listened to this for a little bit, know I'm pretty, politically opinionated but active as well, and made the move to try to bring some of the issues that I've been kind of concerned about to our town for a while now. And I thought that I actually did a pretty good job in terms of bringing some topics to the surface that no one really talked about before. Brought a lot of enthusiasm from folks that I don't think ever cared about municipal elections before, which was really energizing, And I think the most exhausting thing about it is that when you put yourself out there, you open yourself up to all sorts of criticism,
Yeah.
And you have to handle it with grace because that's what you have to do, right?
Right.
But I would actually say the bulk of my experience was not. I mean, I had some. I'm not going to lie. I had some people calling my cell phone and saying some negative things, but they were by far just a squeaky wheel. Like they were a minority of the experience. Vast majority of the people I interacted with were upbeat and civil, and it was actually a lot of fun. And even if they disagreed with me on something, they at least appreciated that I made the effort to come knock on their door and have a conversation with them, because I pounded the pavement, man. I was out meeting and greeting and talking with people, and I had volunteers doing the exact same thing. I was raising money, which I didn't think would ever really happen. So I was kind of a well-oiled machine, but unfortunately, I ended up losing. I lost by 22 votes out of a total of about, I think, 1,600 votes.
Right.
But
I'm so glad it wasn't one vote.
Yeah, because someone's not registered. And I do think I remember you saying that my campaign might influence you.
Maybe enough.
Maybe enough. Apparently it wasn't. I was not compelling enough. Which is probably why I lost. But no, I actually, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't think I could win unless I was running unopposed.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I think there are a lot of people that gravitated to some of my other issues. But at the end of the day, I was still an atheist city boy that advocated for legal cannabis in the small town of Delta.
Right.
Which is a pretty polarizing personality to have right off the bat.
Yes.
So the fact that I can actually get within 22 votes.
Yeah. Half the votes.
Yeah, that's pretty dang good, in my opinion. But I think what really got me energized about this is that we saw a 60% increase in total ballots cast, and from the previous election,
right?
A lot more people involved, really vibrant conversation. And I think the best part about it too is I still maintain a pretty open and honest and civil relationship with my opponent too.
Right.
Like I thought we were pretty professional throughout the whole thing. I actually grew to really like the guy.
Yeah.
And he actually confided with me too at the very end. He's like, "Man, I wish we both could be on council, you know." But at the end of the day, there only could be one, right?
Right.
2 go in, 1 come out, Thunderdome style. But
you would have lost that too. He's a big
dude. Yeah, yeah. But I'm scrappy.
That's right.
I've got the reach, you know. But no, I think. I honestly, like, a lot of people were really worried about me because I put a lot of effort into it, and I'm not disappointed by the end result at all. Mostly because I got a lot of people interested in what's going on with City of Delta now, and I think there's going to be a lot more people showing up for city council meetings, which was really my goal in the first place. Like, bring a lot of these different issues to the surface and try to spark some other interest too. So, and I think I did that.
Yeah, I would agree completely. You're not convincing me to vote with no reflection on you. But to watch as an outsider and I think you would even be surprised with how many people came to me with questions.
Yeah.
Because they knew our association.
Right.
And to have people come in and asking those questions and to have those conversations, and to try to get people to see a bigger picture and all of those kind of things, and to watch message board feeds and all these things that I could just sit back and watch, really. I think 100% it's going to have a positive impact on this community. Just creating conversation.
Right.
Which, wait a sec, this is what this whole thing was all about.
I'm seeing a theme here.
So, yeah. I very distinctly can remember sitting in our local coffee shop and overhearing someone say, "Who's running?" And hearing, "Oh yeah, Jay's running. Yeah, he's the pot guy, right?" Like, that was the conversation. And so I was like, okay, I can't just sit here. And so, like, I had to, like, turn because I knew the people and, like, you know, have a conversation. Okay, so yes, but have you heard everything else?
Yeah,
And so,
and that's what's the funny thing about this too, and I don't want to get into, like, the behind the scenes sort of stuff, but there was an intentional push to make this election about pot.
Right.
You know, because to be perfectly honest with you, when I first started off running, that was not even, like, my biggest issue. You know, I wanted to focus on improving, making it easier to set up a business, you know, trying to figure out how we can improve, like, regulations in terms of code enforcement, things like that.
Which, side note, before you keep going, there was serious progress on that front.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, absolutely. Things that I think you made come to the surface more so. Made some serious changes in this town.
Right, and just forcing the issue, basically. And then also how can we make government more transparent, you know, trying to do things like live streaming city council meetings, things like that, so that way people can access it, you know, at 2 a.m. in their underwear in their living room if they wanted to.
Right.
And just those were the things that I was really trying to focus on, and trying to figure out our financial situation too, because it's a hot mess.
It's bleak.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And then someone asks you, you know, what's your views on cannabis? And I'm like, well, be perfectly honest with you, I think it should be legal.
Right.
But then that sends it into this whole tailspin of it turning into the wedge issue, right?
Right.
Because it's a pretty polarizing topic in our community too.
Yeah.
And I thought I took a very moderate stance. It's like, I personally support it, but I think it should be put to a vote.
Right.
That's the way I pitched it. But man, if you talk to anybody else that didn't actually hear my pitch or actually like interacted with me on a personal level, you would have thought I was Satan incarnate, ready to bring the devil's lettuce to our small town.
That's right.
And and it's silly too, because my opponent, he became the anti marijuana thing. And I've had conversations with him. He's like, I support medicinal marijuana. He actually supported the taxes that passed too, that would have gone towards cannabis sales and cannabis production. And so it wasn't this like black and white thing, but that's what it turned into,
Right.
And that's what got media coverage. That's what brought the cameras to Delta, and it was silly, to be quite honest.
Which I think, for this podcast's sake, I think that's good to have seen firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about the things that polarize us online and differences that we see in other individuals, how one-sided those get taken.
Right.
When that was really such a small fraction of everything you were trying to accomplish, that was the one thing someone latched onto, and that's the one thing that ended up becoming a focal point.
Right.
Where if anybody in this world sat down and had a face-to-face conversation with you, they would have heard a much more complete story. And I think, if anything, watching this unfold, I think hopefully people learn some of that, which I think, as you're saying, going up and knocking on doors and having conversations. Your volunteers, like I've had conversations with some of them who learn through this experience about being face-to-face with people of different views. So,
yeah. And the other thing that, I always had a feeling about it, but you don't really realize it until you're like smack dab in the middle of it, is how intentionally divisive the media tries to play out things to be,
Right.
Because they took that issue and they focused on it, and then they try to show there's this guy on this side and this guy on this side, and it was a very I think the worst thing about it is that it wasn't necessarily there was a bias, right? It's like there's always that concern about left-wing versus right-wing bias. It was just lazy. That was my experience with the media, is that they were lazy. They didn't fact check anything. They just liked a hot topic story.
Right.
They kind of throw it out there, and they let one guy talk and they let the other guy talk, but they don't actually verify what each of them are saying. And then they put it out there, and you give these guys, equal time in terms of what their opinions were or whatever, and even one could be completely unfounded or completely just lying,
Right.
And they just put it out there, just not even taking the time to fact check anything. Because that was my biggest thing, is I went back to our local news station 3 different times to tell them that they had totally botched the story. Like, it's like, you guys didn't take any time to like look at the public minutes of this meeting that this conversation took place. And then they'd run, oh, we're sorry, and they do a retraction that takes place a week later that nobody sees.
Yeah, that nobody cares about.
Right. So it's just annoying, I guess. That's all I can really say about it. But it's just the way it is, I guess.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And yet, they're all the same. We said this earlier, but they're all looking for their clickbait.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to get views or readers or
and they understand
conversation.
They understand the average consumer's attention span's not very long either, so they kind of have to go through their content as quickly as possible and try to do those quick sound bites that are catchy. But they don't, like you said, it totally lacks the conversation and the nuance.
Someone's going to either click away and not watch, or flip the page, or whatever that may be. And
what's the saying? I think it's a Mark Twain quote. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read the newspaper, you're misinformed.
Right. Yeah. So, well,
What have you been up to?
I'm glad you're back. I have survived a really crappy ski season in Telluride.
Yeah.
I mean, we have no snow here in Colorado still. And
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy, but I mean, for me, the season was still great. Stayed very busy.
Good.
March is always insane because the influx of Texas spring breakers is astronomical. So it was nuts. It was fun and interacting and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm tired and I'm glad it's April
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But we are back recording. We actually recorded an episode that we discovered had some technical difficulties and missed the first 10 minutes of conversation probably, which may be a good thing. Because so much has happened with the topic, and that will be our next episode. This is just kind of a, hey, we're still alive episode.
Right.
But our next episode, we're going to be talking about gun control and gun issues and things that go along with that. So we hope you will stick with us. If you haven't caught up on past episodes, I thought the irony of all of this timing-wise, I don't know if you caught this, was we finally got on freaking iTunes and we stopped releasing episodes. Like, it was like we had spent months trying to
struggle.
Trying to get on iTunes. We finally get on there. We start advertising.
Right.
And then we don't record a single episode after that. So
it's like that was our we peaked.
That was it.
That was our Everest.
That was the
we
pinnacle.
got there.
We made it on iTunes.
Peace.
We're out. So if you haven't caught up, make sure you go. We're going to call that season 1. That's what I feel like. You know, all these big podcasts do season 1, season 2. They take a break in between. That's all we're doing.
Right.
We're one of the big guys.
We totally planned that. That's what you do when you're on iTunes.
Exactly. So we're going to call those first, I think, 8 episodes season 1. If you haven't listened to season 1, make sure you do that, get caught back up, and then make sure, share us with your friends, like us on iTunes. If you've listened and you enjoy it, leaving a review, really, as much as Jay despises iTunes,
it makes a difference.
It is the way that people most commonly find us. And so if you can leave a review, 5 stars, tell us what you like. If you don't like something, let us know. Have a conversation.
Right.
Because that's what this is all about. So we can do more of these and try to find out topics that you guys are interested in and would like to see 2 different views on. But yeah, Jay, close us out here.
Yeah, thanks again. This is a Christian and an atheist walk into a bar. You can find us at christianandatheist.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we look forward to future conversations as gosh, I can't even think of our show now. It's been so long.
That's so fitting.
Oh, man. It is fitting. But it's bridging the religious divide, one adult beverage at a time. See, we're getting there.
That's right. Cheers!